financing, every action in our company needs to be indistinguishable, whether it is done to optimize a return on investment or to address some major global health need. And I'll give you an example of that too. So as I mentioned, diarrhea will kill 2 to 3 million kids every single year. The interventions that are available, oral rehydration therapy, et cetera, have met their practical limits. So that's the number that we're living with at the moment until we can come up with a new technology like our product, crofelemer. When you're talking about the morbidity, it's tens, really hundreds of millions of lives more are affected. Every kid in the developing world who dies of HIV really is dying of dehydration and diarrhea. So we have a remarkably devastating disease in emerging and developing countries. At the same time, this is the largest market opportunity. So we looked at ourselves and you could say, how could we not develop our product for the global marketplace? But there are certain investors who would say that same sentence with a slightly different emphasis. Well, how could you develop the product without developing it for the global marketplace? With the point being there's not a return on investment opportunity. With our business model and the innovation and the partnerships we've put in place, it's a very large market opportunity. So there's all sorts of statistics out there. You hear there'll be more middle-class Indians with insurance in the next 25 years than there are Americans. Pediatrics is the biggest marketplace in those rest of world territories. So what we've done as we have partnered with companies that are accessing these markets, they've partnered with NAPO as we have put in place relief efforts to address those children who are most at risk of dying. That's the right thing to do, that's good business, and it goes back to this policy, this rule, every action is indistinguishable, whether it's optimized for a return or addressing a global health concern. There's a couple of other advantages of our global business model. For a sports analogy, I don't know if this works in Europe, but a hockey analogy, go to where the puck is going to be. I don't know if the fortune's at the bottom of the pyramid or the top of the pyramid, but I know that there's value in going where the patients are. And so with a global business plan, we are where all the different patients are, and wherever the industry involves, we will be there to benefit from the commercialization of our product. Contingency planning. Our product is a product that will go through the U.S. first for a chronic indication and in rest of world territories for an acute indication. And then each indication provides an extension to the other part of the world, an extension in label indication, but it also provides a backup contingency planning. The way all our contracts work, each company has access to all the technology, all the data generated by another company, and so if there's a problem with the p-value, one of those studies, and another indication can immediately be brought to market. Global blockbuster. Diarrhea in and of itself is not considered a blockbuster indication. It's a specialty pharma market. There's 300 million here, 100 million there, 50 million there, 5 million here. If you add it all up, for chronic, acute, and pediatric indications in the global marketplace, in all the territories where we have partnerships in place, this becomes well over $1 billion product without even reaching the blockbuster indication, which is irritable bowel syndrome, which would be another 2 or 3-fold on top of that. And then power the masses, economies of scale. Not all products, but in our case, and with many cases, the more you make of it, the cheaper it gets. So the larger volume of product that we get out there, the cheaper the cost of goods, the higher profit margin in the Western territories, and then the different channels, the lower price point channels that we can reach in emerging and developing companies, which drives the volume, and everything continues to go in the same direction. One of the collateral benefits of working in the global health area is that you learn that diseases don't occur in isolation. In our case, it's not just diarrhea. There are repercussions in other areas of global health, in human rights, and in the environment. A third of us now in the world live with scarcity of clean water. That's going to increase to 40% over the next 25 years. With that comes enteric infections, with that comes disease. We all have a human right to both clean water and the right to protect ourselves from those waterborne infections. This was an education day that we held at our company. Ben Skinner, for example, is an expert on modern-day slavery. You think, what does that have to do with our company? He makes a very clear link to the 25 or so million slaves that are in the world today and abject poverty, and a clear link between abject poverty and lack of health care. And what's the biggest issue in children under the age of 5? It's diarrhea and lack of access to clean water. So to bring this all home, what that allowed us to do is to think about innovative ways to fund our innovative business model. And so what we've done with the last bit of money, we have very traditional investors in this company. We have your Fidelities, Invesco's, large institutions. We have foundations. We have venture capitalists, interestingly, who are in as individuals, not as venture capital funds. We decided not to take venture capital. All our corporate partners are in. We do have some strategic venture capital from China, from India. But the last little bit of funding that we put in, we went to mission-based investors who recognize that, as Professor Bassini said, the business model is broken in the pharmaceutical industry. There is not a good one out there. So we need to reach for innovations. We've overlaid that with the globalization of what's going on in the world right now. So to invest in innovative business models and in a way that is addressing a major global health need and in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is enhancing, providing a greater return on investment is the pathway we've decided to pursue. I didn't know there was going to be anybody with money in this room, but if anybody is interested, we're fully funded. Every single indication of our product, every single part of the world is funded by our partners. NAPO has carved out the right to accelerate the pediatric development. There's good financial reasons to do that. We get royalties sooner. We get to a higher royalty rate because the base on which it is applied is faster. It has strategic value in keeping our partners on their toes, and it's also the right thing to do. And I'll just finish with a quote here of Dr. Sir Richard Feacham, who's one of our advisors and the founder of the Global Fund on tuberculosis, malaria, and AIDS. 21st century health challenges are global, and one needs to ensure the development of strategies that can be applied on a worldwide basis. Thank you very much.